everyone. This is the Gears of Steam podcast where we talk about all the weird and wonderful things within the steampunk and sci-fi genres. I am your host, Raven Ashmore.
Yes, hello, this is Zelius Fishinagen, sometimes called Z-Bobfish. Anyway, it's good to be on the show. Thank you for introducing me.
I think you might be a little bit...
Oh, are we speaking ahead of each other? Let me try to fix that. Oh, come on.
Oh.
Oh, come on. Oh.
Oh, God.
Hello? Are we better now?
Yes, I think.
Am I replying before or after you?
After, I think.
After you think.
Yes,
okay, good. That's much better. Anywho, so yes, good to be on the show again.
Yes.
Well, not again, but maybe again.
Yeah.
We'll figure this
out.
Yes,
I apologize for the technical difficulties, audience. Talking between different time frames also dimension stuff, complicated science, and it's a tricky thing.
It does. The pocket dimension I'm currently in, sometimes the time runs faster, sometimes the time runs slower. It gets sometimes mixed up when it's communicating through the dimensional communications recording alley. Yeah. Anywho, so yes, we are here though.
Yes.
It is quite nice. Yeah, I like it.
So yeah, after that little kerfuffle, so I'll just start. Can you basically explain to the audience who you are?
Yes, so who am I? I am, again, Zelius Fishinagen, and I am not exactly from around here. You see, I am from a universe that's not necessarily parallel or perpendicular, but it has a different reality sense and whatnot. So basically, when I was there in the comforts of my original home with my original family of craftsmen and whatnot, I decided that I wanted to attempt to make a time machine. Well, from inspiration out of some odd dream I had. And it's never been done before at that time. After traveling around, I see that it's been done all the time. But accidents seem to happen, as you may be so familiar in laboratories and whatnot, exploding about. But in this accident, I didn't actually make a time machine. Apparently, I made a timeline displacement mechanism. So what this does... what I attempted to do was have a device that would take one point of time on a time string, and another point of time on a time string, and fold that time string together and just hop from one end to the other end. But because of the sort of gap in the middle, I fall off. I fall off the timeline, and I end up on a different timeline. So I don't necessarily time travel, but I go through dimensions.
Yes.
And I've seen some pretty weird things, but very nice things at the same time.
Yes, yeah. I've talked to people who've jumped from different dimensions before. It is quite a complicated thing. Most don't understand it to a full extent, nor do I, due to the fact that I don't delve in that science. But I have once, recently, successfully. And it's
successfully? Oh.
Successfully.
Where'd you go?
To Elemental Manor, to meet Professor Elemental, and that was in an alternate dimension. A friend of mine made a device that basically can jump things, because we tried with inanimate objects, but we didn't know where they went or if they went anywhere when testing. So we had to try someone who actually had a conscience and can communicate with a human being or other intelligent life forms to other dimensions, and it seemed to have worked, and I'm still in one piece from everything I could tell.
It does get often confusing because you don't go somewhere, and you don't necessarily speed through another time. You're going somewhen else, rather.
Yes.
Because it's not a different place, because you're somewhat fixated, but not like in the same point of time, but it's just on a different one.
Yeah. It's like, yes.
Somewhen.
Same place, alternate dimension kind of thing, yes.
Right, yes. So, me traveling about, at first I wasn't really in control of where I went. I was still trying to figure out how this machine I built actually worked. And Yeah, I've just seen so many things, so many interesting, wonderful things. And eventually I happened to pop up on this one, and I found it quite curious. It's quite curious, these people, because they have this imagination, this thing in their head that lets them think of other things that surprisingly not always is here, but I've seen them in these other dimensions. So I'm very, very curious on how you people do it. So I'm just sticking around, really,
Hmm. Yeah.
taking this timeline for a ride.
Ah, yes. Well, it's a bit like that with me actually. I found out that there's someone somewhere. Well, yeah, somewhere,
Mm. Somewhen,
sometime
somewhen.
in another dimension that apparently made up me.
Mm.
And this is too confusing for me, but apparently they are like me, but not me, but also they made me.
Yes,
But
I get it.
it, I'm not used to it. But yeah, that's I learned that recently, and I'm still taking it in. It's it's kind of strange, but yes. Uh,
Yeah, so again, I don't necessarily go through parallel universes, which is when some part of the same timeline kind of branches off, which is thus making parallel, which kind of going through completely different things. So, for instance, I was this one where it's similar to one of your other guest adventures, where there was this line where the lizard race was the supreme race, but yes, they were quite the political ones. They were very fashioned into making documents and contracts and whatnot. They actually used their talons, like chipped the tip of it, just so that they could dip it in ink and use them as pens, because, they don't really have hands to hold pens and whatnot.
yeah, that
Yeah.
makes that sense. I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
Things make sense on different realities, but on those realities, it might not make sense to this reality.
yeah. So like, I'm trying to think. So you basically, in a sense, jump a from one dimension to another, or as you said, fall in a sense. I guess. Is that right?
Yeah, so basically hopping through different universes and dimensions.
So you've obviously been to many compared to me, who's only been to another different dimension. Um,
Yeah, I have had quite the sights. I must tell you, quite the sights.
hmm.
But alas, I'm going to stick around on this one until I figure this one out.
So like, is this like form of travel like in a sense? Is it dangerous?
Oh, it can be, yes, because if you linger too long in the timeless void, uh, you might start withering away. So it's best to get on some sort of time so that your body isn't, well, being frozen and starting to deplete in the timeless void. Because in order to proceed, we must have time to proceed with.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like I'm obviously not used to the whole kind of idea of the jumping from place, well, time to time from alternate timelines and all that. What do we call it? The science of time travel on my universe is actually
Mm.
kind of straightforward for some reason, but the
Yeah.
whole machines that make it accessible are not so, as I find.
No.
Yes. So that.
Yes. Well, I've checked out some of these television programs that sort of relate to these subject matters. So, for instance, that what you might call it? No, not a veterinary. The doctor.
Mm,
That's the one. Yes. So him and his TARDIS. He goes through time, but he apparently he does not go through dimensions.
yeah. He's a bit like me, where I do go. Well, my friend, whose name shall not be said for
Mm.
confidential reasons,
Right. Right.
can and has access to a time traveler to time traveling machine, which I
Mm.
often use. with him. Unfortunately, he doesn't allow me to use on my own anymore because apparently I go against the rules. But yeah, the concept of that, it's a bit like Doctor Who. You know, we do that. We still need to find a more efficient way of jumping through dimensions, though, if we want to do so.
Well, if I figure out how to properly replicate this one, maybe I could make some coin.
That might work. Though I found that the Secret Society of Time, which has found out about said device, which can jump from dimension to dimension.
Oh, they have?
They are basically
Oh.
making a branch now from that to basically the Secret Society of Dimension Traveling. So now it's going to be lots of regulations, just like time travel. It's going to be very complicated. It's like, oh yeah. They just basically...
Well, no one has knocked on my door because I don't actually have one. But if it so happens that I have to follow the rules or whatnot of this dimension, I guess I may cooperate. It all depends on what sense of reality I'm currently in.
Yeah, like...
But yeah, being in the pocket dimension of a universe doesn't... I'm still out of it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like with these societies that we have over here in our dimension, they've never really had anyone from outside our dimension, so I don't know if the rules would apply to the people who come in from other dimensions. I bumped into a few before, and I don't think they really have covered that, so I think there's quite a lot of freedom still for people not in our dimension. Yes.
Well, being the trans-dimensional observant that I am, I usually tend to stick to the backgrounds. I do sometimes just go back and forth, but I don't necessarily try to make myself noticed because I just like to keep a watchful eye. So when that ever happens, I hope I'm not exactly noticed as much. I'm surprised that I've been noticed for this podcast, actually. So how did you discover this likelihood?
Well, often I sit long evenings on the device I'm using here that sends a signal through space, time, and dimension. Basically it's like a radio, so I just search through signals and stuff, and if I pick up on something or someone, then it calls back. And I just came across you through a few people, and I was like quite interested because you seemed certainly quite curious, kind of different from what I could tell, because you do call yourself
Trans-dimensional time
yes,
traveling.
thank you. If my tongue would actually cooperate, it would have said it. So I was curious. A small point of research went into it. I found you on Twitter and stuff, and I just became quite curious. That's what I do. I do research on other time travelers and steampunks, and just have them on my podcast.
Well, you must be careful with that curiosity, though, because I've heard that curiosity can kill cats. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Why does that happen here?
I know, it's horrible.
Yeah, so we must... Okay, you can still have the curiosity, but we must deplete it quickly so to save those little poor kittens.
Yes. I don't want my poor little cat going quickly. Yeah.
Oh, you got the kitten over there.
Yes, he often interferes with my work, aka walking all over it and rubbing himself in my face whilst I try and do said work. Yeah.
What life is it on now? They have 9 of them, right?
Yes, he's still quite young, so I still think he's either on. He's only lost 1, maybe. Yeah, I believe, of those 9. So he's still
not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah. Still got another 8 or 7.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's often found. So, this device that you have that gives you the ability to travel through dimensions and, pockets.
The timeline displacement mechanism, I call it.
Yes.
Because I told them. Told them. I try.
I know the feeling. I try to make cool names for my creations, and it never works. But
sometimes practical is the easiest because people question less. Well, okay, even though these people around here have been questioning quite a lot because the ones that have approached me and joining me in the background have been like, oh, is that a helicopter backpack? That looks amazing. And well, from the materials of the propellers that you've seen, probably it can't exactly fly in the sense of aerodynamics, but it is great between the void because it's just the material that I managed to find, it just, I don't know, it manages to pull me through fast enough to the whatever line I'm going to, and yeah, it's how I survive through that void.
Hmm. So like so it's basically, to explain it to people, this is like a like thing that you wear on your back. It's more like a wooden box like thing that has contraptions and stuff all around it to
Yes, and I can actually use it as a backpack.
well, that's handy.
It is handy. When I find things where I need somewhere to put them, if it looked like it should work, it definitely should, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
If it's a helicopter, it should fly, even though mine doesn't really fly because I don't call it a helicopter. But if it's called a backpack, it should definitely put things in it.
Yes, yes. Well, obviously, if you're traveling from dimension to dimension, you need somewhere to put your stuff. Otherwise, it might fall out, and it'll take a long time to find that stuff.
Probably won't. Probably won't be able to.
Yeah, there's a lot of work trying to find it, even if you could.
Yeah.
But if you've been through quite a few different timelines, what do you have a favorite, or is it just kind of varied?
I try to keep my opinions least biased because being the sort of traveler that I am, being the observant that I am, you should have an open mind when it comes to feuds and or when it comes to preferences and whatnot. Because people have their own preferences, and if I put influence into other preferences from different dimensions, it does not tend to work well. So, for instance, I've been to this one where everything was either miniaturized or I was just very large in it. I'm not entirely sure which one it was. And, how did this story go? My word, it's been quite some time. Uh, so eventually, this is actually where I found one of the trinkets of mine that I have on my fingers. It's this little itty bitty steam engine that I thought would look adorable on it, and they did not necessarily like me for it, but somehow I managed to change the government from stealing that one tiny steam engine. Whoops. And so, yeah. Try not to change too much.
Yeah. Yeah, like a...
Same with time travel. You tend not to change, even though the concept of that then traverse where if you did change something, that something was meant to happen, or that something would never happen because since the change happened, you wouldn't have a reason to do so.
Yes.
Or you didn't end up on your own timeline and went to a parallel one because of the change.
Yes, I find that paradoxes are actually really easy to create by accident.
It is. It is.
And
Have you, there's this, what you would call it? It's not a cartoon, it's not a standard television, an anime, as the Japanese term here. They have this one called Steins Gate. Have you heard of this one?
I've heard but not seen.
Oh yes, it actually goes quite well through parallel timelines and whatnot. A little bit slow in the beginning, but it is quite a watch actually. I like watches actually. That nice little silver intricate.
It seems I'm rubbing off on you a little bit when it comes to not being able to speak.
Oh, do forgive me. A reversal bug managed to fly in my mouth. Ugh, I hate those.
Oh.
What was I saying?
You
reversal bugs tend to mess up your memory for the last 0.5 seconds.
well, I think you're talking about something about watches or pocket watch. I'm not sure which one was
Oh
that.
yes, I do like those watches. The little gears and stuff, and how they fit together, and it's so intricate.
I
I
have.
actually have a few myself. I collect these things from this world, and
Yeah.
well, I don't steal. I trade, or I just simply find.
Yes, I often go to the future and find quite a lot of things, but the way they create things, the quality is so low. Oh my god, things break so easily.
Hmm.
I find
They do. They're not meant to be standardly fixed anymore. They're meant to be bought again.
it's like
It's
with
terrible.
my time and the time in the 1800s, everything is built
Hmm.
to last. And I have a watch here that I've
Yes.
had for well before I was born. Well,
Hmm.
my father had it. Now it's mine. But and has it broken? No. But if I buy like a simple pocket watch from the 21st century, and it's battery powered, it
Hmm.
just randomly breaks, and I have no idea why.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not entirely sure of how to fix many of the things here, but it does seem like things are not meant. Well, in terms of products and capitalism and whatnot,
Hmm.
things are not meant to be easily fixed, and the for the prime purpose of let's go to the shops and buy it again because no one can fix it but them.
I just think to myself, well, I don't have to buy it.
I've
I can
actually,
make
sorry.
it. That's basically what I do.
Yes, I've actually purchased an iPod because it was most convenient for internet communications, and I just try to make my place on this interwebs and whatnot, and it has failed on me once or twice, and so being not so knowledgeable over the engineering of these things, I go to the shop and they say, "Oh, yeah, so do you have a warranty? We can just replace it." So this is how they fix things, by replacing it.
That makes no sense. Why can't you just go into the internet and fix whatever is wrong with it?
Exactly. They don't know. They just say, "Oh, it's broken. Okay, here's the way to fix it. Here's a new one.
I know.
Good job." Oh,
Yeah. Well, I do find that. Um, I actually, because I create and build and fix a lot of things myself, aka airships, is what my business is. I recently was off in the lovely city of Terraterm. It's a floating city off the coast of Italy. It's definitely a sight. It's a collection of three floating islands. And one of my suppliers is over there. It's like a trading port style city. And it was delightful, but God, I hate business meetings. And if you don't have the supplies, then you won't be able to fix things. I find.
I've actually been to a dimension of cloud people.
Were the people in the clouds, or they were made of clouds?
Both.
Oh.
Yes, and so how that one worked was gravity was to the sense that it doesn't pull towards the center of it, it was rather pushed away from the center. So as we see, like, let's say raindrops and whatnot falling from what we call this sky here, they have ground as their pretty much sky.
Oh. Huh. I'm thinking what you're thinking, which think what you're explaining. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Obviously. Yes. Yeah.
To another reality, but it makes sense. As an alcoholic says, it's 4 p.m. somewhere.
It's true though. Don't say
Fun
it. Don't
chaps.
tell my truths. Oh yes. So, well, we've been chatting up quite a bit. I'm just going to give you a little moment to speak to the audience because we are coming a little close to the end of the podcast.
Oh, dear me,
I
already?
know.
Oh, that's why. Sorry, my dimension is currently running slower right now. That's why it's only been about 10 minutes.
Well, to me, it feels like 10 minutes.
Oh.
So I shall let you have your little moment with the audience. You say what you wish, and I will let you do that.
All right. Well, yes. Hello, everyone who is currently listening or watching or touching or feeling or tasting or however you've used your senses to view this broadcast. Again, I am Zelius Bobbleton Fishinagen. For the short form, Z Bobfish. Oh, so it was this one time I was in a dimension where everything was only in single syllables, so that is the main reason for that. So something I need to say. There is a lot of people desperately trying to be the inspirational or trying to make themselves like the biggest thing that they can. And they oftentimes they do forget that there is the little things, the backgrounds that makes this whole world function. So I guess what I'm saying is that life doesn't always have to be the biggest thing. Sometimes just be the one to keep the watchful eye and stick to the backgrounds. I am not necessarily trying to be inspirational or anything like that, but to be meaningful in this life doesn't necessarily being the top of everyone's else's, I suppose. Anywho, it's been quite interesting seeing you fellows and fellowettes and chaps and chapettes in this dimension L5 Xenon Clay. And I've had such a lovely chat with this good chap here. And I must say adieu for now. And hopefully I'll be seeing a bunch of you around. It'd be nice to see you, I suppose.
Yes.
Somewhere or somewhen or somehow, and all that. I guess that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yes, well, I do thank you, sir, Zelius, for coming and being on the podcast. You will be able to find his Twitter and
Oh
stuff
yes.
in the description of this recording. That will be online. I hope you all enjoyed. This is Raven Ashmore from the Gears of Steam, and I'm ending the broadcast.
Ta-ta!